So I was going to give you guys a rundown on all these mowers. Sorry for my voice, it's a little bit hoarse. But we've got a Hustler X-Ride, a TRX, biggest series they make. This has the 66-inch cut on it. It is a rough cut deck, so this is not a finished mower, but we still wanted to showcase it so you guys could see. And then we've got a Scag Cheetah 2 with a 61-inch cut. And then we've got a TRX 561. Now, this series is below the 766. And what on the numbers? So the numbers go 5. And what does the 5 stand for?
It's just the series. So there's
Okay.
a 354 that's 54-inch cut. Then there's the 561 and the 766.
Okay, so that's your series.
Yep.
All right. This runs a 13-inch tire in the front that is non-aired, so you don't have to worry about air or anything. This runs a non-aired 13-inch tire. This one's running a 15-inch tire in the front that is non-aired, and this is running a 13-inch. Now, on the rear, you're running a 26 on the Hustler X-Ride, and the Scag's running a 24. These are totally different because they're tracked machines. But you can see the top of that is about 26, where a 26 or 20, maybe even a 27 would be. You can see they're almost the same height as that 26-inch tire. Now, on the Altoz, the Scag, all these, the bolt goes all the way through. So you can see here, you've got a bolt, and to take it off, you take the nut off up here, and it lets the bolt go all the way through the spindle, and that's how you get the blades off. Scag's the same way, and the Hustler, you can just take the bottom bolt out, and it drops the blades. On the Hustler, it's a 60-inch cut, where the other two are 61. So you're getting a little bit wider pass with these two mowers. And you can get this series mower with a tire on it. So you don't have to get the tracked. So if you're a company that needs to do big hillsides and stuff, you can still stay with one brand, and you can get the tracks and you can get the tire version. So that's a really cool deal. Now, on your decks, this has baffling. The Scag has baffling, and the Hustler has baffling. So you can adjust your baffling up and down in the deck, and I'll show you that. So if you look here at the front, you've got this baffle that goes all the way across. That will let you raise this baffle up and down to get a better cut in deeper grass. So the lower this is, the higher you can cut and still not get deck blowout and get good discharge. So you can see across through there. On the Scag, it's the same way. You've got a baffle in the front, and lowering this baffle will help you guys not get deck blowout, as you can see across through there. On the Hustler, it's the same way. You've got a channel in the front. See that channel right there? It runs across. You can lower that channel to get a better cut in taller grass if you're cutting at a taller height. Now, on the deck height, on the Hustler, it'll go 5.5. On the Scag, it will go to 5. And on the 561, it'll go to 6 inches right here. But then you've got another probably inch of deck lift. So look at here. See how much higher you can raise that? It's got quite a bit of deck that you can raise it, even if you're in there. One of the cool things about this tracked mower, I've been driving it some, is it rides really, really smooth. So these tracks, the way that they span over the terrain. And so it lets the mower rock back here, and it keeps everything smooth, and your deck isn't jumping around. And I'll show you guys that in video. On the Scag, you've got a suspension platform that's made in the entire body, and so it floats, and you can you can change this like that, or like that and get different adjustments on it. And then you've got another one below the seat where you can adjust the preload down here on the bottom. You can change that spanner ring right down there, that silver ring, and get a softer or smoother ride. The Scag also has a 2-speed transaxle where this does as well. Now, these tracked mowers are a little bit slower than like a normal counterpart mower as far as how you use them. Now, another thing, like the Scag has 2 speeds on it, this has 2 speeds on it. The Hustler does not, and the TRX 5 series does not either. But on the Scag, if you're mowing hillsides and stuff, you will not be able to use high, or at least on hillsides like mine. You guys have seen my front yard. It does not do well with the hydraulics. And on this series here, they removed it to where you can't mow in high on this mower. So if you're looking to mow in high on this, on the new one, you can't do that. You can still mow in high with the Scag Cheetah, but I wouldn't recommend it on hillsides. It just doesn't function as properly as it does in low. It does a lot better mowing in low on hillsides with that series there. All of these are running, this is running a Kawasaki Evo 820V with 34.5 horse. This is running a FX 1000V with an EFI Kawasaki motor. This is running the Kohler. And I'll tell you guys, I've been watching this mower and I filled it up at 25 hours and I'm almost empty. So it's 33.6. So I'm getting roughly on my property, I'm getting with high lift blades, I'm getting roughly 8 hours with full tanks from finished in, between 8 and 9 hours. On this motor, this is a FX 850V EFI Kawasaki. I'm a huge fan of Kawasaki motors. I will say I really like that Kohler, and I don't know long term, but I guess we'll see how it does long term. As far as your amenities, you've got this panel here. I really like that. And then you've got a cup holder here that has this rubber garment in it. I guess you could remove that if you wanted a little bit bigger one, but you could probably put a water bottle in there pretty easy. It looks like it would fit a water bottle or a Coke can perfectly. You've got a 12-volt outlet here that kind of, you can plug in a cigarette lighter style, and then you could add whatever you wanted to it. As far as your seat adjustability, you've got these turn dials to raise and lower the arms to the point that you want them at. And this seat is a really nice seat. They did a good job with the seat on there, which a lot of your mower companies have done a great job here lately. As far as your deck covers, you turn these and you can pull that. Do you have to undo this bolt too? You do, don't you? No,
Just slides.
it just slides off the back. So you guys can see there, once you undo these, it slides off the back. So you can remove those. It's not bolted on. On the Scag, it's the same way. You can see here, you just remove those. And then if you want to take your nut off, you got the little cover there. I do like that little rubber cover. You've got lights, factory on the Scag. That's the only one that comes with factory lights on it. I do like that little amenity that they give you from the factory. I don't like Scag cup holder. It won't hold anything. So I added this cup holder, and it'll literally hold a mason jar or like a Route 44 drink. If you guys are looking for one of those, I'll put it in the bio. But it just blows out and holds itself in there. I got a short showing that. As far as the hydraulics, this is running a 4400 Hydro Gear unit. This is running a 5400, and so is the X-Ride. I really prefer the 26-inch tire on the Hydro Gear. It gives you a smoother feeling, whereas the 24 gives you a little bit jerkier feeling to it. And the ride isn't as good on a 24-inch tire. So it's just one of them things that you're going to have to figure out what your preferences are. Now, on the Scag, one of the things that I really like is how wide the front tire span is. It helps you to stripe because it's almost the same width as your rear tire, so nothing is offset, and you can set that front tire directly beside your other tire mark, which will give you passes almost flawlessly every time. Whereas like the Hustler is narrow, you can see here it's narrower on the front end than it is on the Scag. And so I much prefer the Scag's front tire off, like how wide it is. This one's a little bit narrower too, but you're using a tract. So I've not mowed with this a whole bunch, but I did really good with it when I was mowing a minute ago, but it isn't as wide. Now on this Altoz, it has these bushings in the front. So you're getting absorption from bumps for your front tires right here in this. And then, like I said, the rear tracks move with the terrain. So it's got a really good feel to it. And I'm going to show you going over some rough terrain with it. And then you've also got this front suspension in the seat that lets it adjust to your weight. And then you can move it backwards and forwards depending on how you feel in the seating. Whereas the Scag, like I said, is in the platform and the Hustler is in the platform, and I'll show you that. So on the back of the seat, you've got a shock under there, and you adjust it right here. You just pull this and go down or up, and that adjusts how your shock preload feels in that Hustler. As far as the there's something else I was going to tell you. Oh, the adjustability on your handlebars. So on this unit here, you've got the adjustments where you take the bolts out. This and Hustler are identical in how they function. So you can move the steering column up one notch, and then you can swing the arm back and forth right here, and then you'll adjust your, does this have a track adjustment? So like if that's
here,
it?
and yeah.
Okay.
Where it strikes up here.
All right, so if you're wanting to adjust the tracking, you can move that bolt in and out. Now on the Scag, it's a little bit easier to quick adjust the bottom as far as how you move that, but the top is the same way, so you can shift that up and down. And then over here, I'll show you the Hustlers. It's almost identical to the Altoz one. You can see here. And then you adjust your track right here on the front. You shift that bolt in and out, and that lets if you're driving a zero turn and one stick is faster than the other one, you can adjust it with those bolts and get a smoother tracking is what that's for. As far as the maintenance on these, the Evo, to change the oil, it's right down there in that cover. So you take and loosen that bolt right there, and then it drips out of the front of here to change the oil in that. On your hydros, you're going to take a cartridge out, which all these are going to be the same because they run nearly the same hydraulic units. On this one, how do you change oil in it? Right here?
Straight out the bottom. You've got a cutout.
Got a little cutout there.
You can put a hose on the bottom of that.
See there, you turn that and it lets it drain out the bottom right there. Now, one of the things that I like that the Kohler did is they include this, well, I just knocked it off. But anyway, they include this, and it's got this little cap on it. And then you just take your hand and turn this, and it lets it drain out the bottom. This is the easiest maintenance motor I've ever seen in my life. I absolutely love it because it's got a top change oil. You don't get oil anywhere, and you can put that right in a pop bottle and drain it, and you don't have to worry about any of your fluids getting anywhere. It's a pretty nice deal. Like I said, I've only got a few hours on this Kohler. I know some people have different opinions on how they do everything, but I like it so far. As far as your dropping your deck, so on the Scag, you have this platform and you put your foot here. Now, on this Scag, it's a little quirky. It's this is farther forward than this is. Now you can move this one notch forward, but then if you're long legged, you're going to have your knee up by your arm here if you're in. So if you've got this folded in and then your knee's shorter right there, you're going to be hitting that. So they really need to get some kind of extension a little bit taller or something on this, or figure out something different, because your foot has to like shove in between the piece. And I'm not a big fan of that. It's kind of annoying. And then you drop your deck right here. So you pull this back and then boom, drop it down. On the Hustler, you get on the platform and you put your foot, everything is just flawlessly set to where it's at. So you can do that. You can easily hit your lever there, drop it down. You got 5.5 all the way to 1. And then your other stuff's over here. You've got a USB on this side. I I much prefer the Hustler's layout when you're sitting on there. You don't feel as cramped as you do on the Scag. Nothing wrong with it, but it just feels that way. Now on the 5 Series Altoz, you've got 2 deck pedals, which I really like, because you're not having to do anything with your hands, and your deck dial is over here, and it goes from 6
increments also.
1/4 inch increments from 6 to, it shows 3, but then you've got 2 notches there. What are the 2 extra notches? These.
That's just, you can go a little below 3.
Okay.
You can go to 2.5.
Okay, all right, so 2.5 to 6, as you can see there. But to lower the deck, you push this forward and then push this, and that lets you drop it down. It can jump back out, but it's a heavier deck. So he said he didn't see that much of a problem with it, but I haven't ran it that much, so I don't know. But you guys can let me know if you ran one of these. Do you have the deck in jump out position a lot? Does it jump out on you? And then to lock it back, you just push that back up there. So it's pretty much, you're not leaning, you're not trying to do anything. Everything's right there at your feet or your hands. And every pedal feels good. Like, it's not out of the way or anything. It does have quite a bit of pressure to lift it, but so does the Hustler and the Scag. So it's not like a Toro or an X-Mark that's super easy to lift. That is one of the things I notice. And as far as your deck, do you know, like, is it a certain thickness on this?
7 gauge.
7 gauge, okay.
And you can run now in 2025, you can get an all-terrain deck for the 561.
Okay.
So it can be swapped back and forth also. And the 766, you can get it finish cut or all-terrain, or you can buy both and swap back and forth.
Okay. That's nice. But other than that, guys, I'm sure I left some things out. Now, you've got grease fittings on all of these mowers, in the deck, the spindles. Are your spindles greasable on this? Pretty sure they are.
Yeah.
And then the Scag, the Hustler, they're all greasable spindles. Your spindles on the Scag, you grease them on the top side in here, and then you've got a couple other grease fittings on your pivot points. It's the same way with this. You can lift this up and see, but this has pretty big pulleys on it. And I noticed when I was cutting with it, it did really good to have the least horsepower here. It cut really good, had a good like side discharge and stuff. On the Scag, you've got a brake pedal. I do really like that brake pedal here. It's very handy for a lot of situations, like if you're on a hillside and stuff. You can use that foot brake and you don't have to move the handlebars in and out. All these mowers have their pros and their cons. On the Scag, you've got the tiger eye, the little eye here that tells you your information. It doesn't tell you your fuel, which I thought was really weird. They're right here, the little manual tanks. But I've heard that these are a lot more reliable over time. So I don't know. You guys can tell me if I'm wrong or right. On the Hustler, it's old school. It doesn't really have any, technical stuff. You've got this little hour meter here, and then you've got your PTO, all that stuff. The Hustler is rated at 13 mile an hour it just has one speed. And then the Scag is rated at 12 in low and 16 in high. This one probably runs about 8 or 9 mile an hour. What do you think?
Yeah, 8, 9 mile an hour.
This runs about 8 or 9 mile an hour. But like I said, you can get these guys with a tire on it, a regular tire. If you guys get enough traction on this video, they'll come back out with some tires, I'm sure, to showcase them, because I know a lot of people would like to have both. If you're a municipal property where you could mow tire with your flat and then mow the tracked with the other. So if you guys got any more questions, let me know. And like I said, if you're looking to pick up one of these mowers and you're in the Kentucky area, this is Aaron with Southeastern Outdoor Power Equipment. His number's on the side of here, and really good guy. He'll take care of you as a dealer. And like I said, he's a dealer and he brought these out, and I really, really like these mowers. But just let me know what questions you guys got, and I'll try to fill you in and let you know what's on them.